Hi everyone. Because it's a little bit difficult to get together over the last couple of weeks, I put together some ideas in the light of our recent discussions regarding, like where to now with Global GEG and how we can strengthen our service to educators. To make sense of things, I need to arrange the concepts in a graphic form and then explain it to others. Hence the slide deck and this little video. So apologies for the simplicity of these ideas, and I'll get the slide deck on this timeline, and I'll get me off the screen. You don't need me thrashing around in the corner, so you can focus on the slide deck. Now, the other day I was scrolling through Instagram and I came across this quote, and it really resonated with the journey of Global GEG. We serve people we once were. We've solved problems and we can help others solve their problems. We've overcome challenges and we are speaking to and supporting people who are probably only a few steps behind us. And this quote really stopped me from scrolling on, and I thought, who's this Rory Vaden guy? And I dropped down the description section and I saw that he was a speaker to an audience of business people, so that's probably why I didn't know him. He was interviewed by a guy called Sean Cannell, and I've followed Sean Cannell for a while. He's an influencer on YouTube, so I thought I'm going to follow this and find out the context in which this quote was given. Now, because I have never been in business, I've been in education since I was 4.5, I needed to sit with this quote and consider what a brand was. And I needed to paraphrase some of the concepts. And I made this slide with the 2 points that led me to the thinking of how Global GEG can move forward and keep providing a valuable service to other people. And all of this led me down a rabbit hole of research, podcasts, blogs, articles, and it showed me that there was a business framework to success. Who knew business had a framework? So the marketing and brand builders all talk about these 3 concepts. So let's break it down. Frequency does not refer to the multiple events that Global GEG run. Instead, it refers to tuning into something that is known to us, so then we can filter out all the static of the internet overload. And that's exactly what I did when I saw that quote. I stopped scrolling. I thought, who the heck was Rory Vaden? And I actually scrolled on and I thought, no, hang on, I'm going back. That quote looks great. So when I looked at the topic notes, I saw a familiar name, Sean Cannell, and that's the frequency. I tuned into Sean Cannell's frequency. Now, some of us like to hear what Eric Kurtz says, or Matt Miller, or Richard Byrne, Casey Bell, Jamie Keach. Even though they're saying the same thing, pretty much so, we tend to tune into their frequency out of preference. For instance, on a Google search, I might want to filter out the static by selecting the best keywords. I want to learn something via a video tutorial. I need a specific year, 2021 and 2020, and I want the video to be less than 5 minutes. I scroll down that first page on the Google search. I don't go to page 2. Life's too short to be looking for other pages. I might have to refine my keywords. So I might scroll down that page and I find Seti de Klerk. And I stop and I hit that description, and it might be 2019, which is outside my filter, and he might be giving an hour-long video. So I want to tune into his frequency because I know that he has something good to say. Which now begs a few more questions about, what is our frequency? What do people want to hear us say, and why do they tune into our frequency? I can see perhaps we could create a Jamboard and put together some ideas on this. Now, layered on top of this frequency concept is uniqueness, or the story that we bring to our service. People can say the same thing and offer the same principles, but they weave their unique stories to forward the thinking or the conversation. For example, Tony Robbins says pretty much the same as other motivational speakers have said decades before him, but he brings a unique perspective to his motivational speaking. And in that business framework, it's often referred to as a superpower. And so we could say Tony Robbins is a superhero. We need to reflect on, and I think this would be another great Jamboard discussion space, is what is our uniqueness? And I found this quote from Larry Winget, who is another motivational speaker for business audiences. He says, "Find your uniqueness so that you can exploit it in the service of others." I don't much like the word exploit. I couldn't find another word to put in there to give that power to that quote. I thought these 4 questions would really help us develop some sort of an idea of what is our uniqueness. It comes from a business framework. So the first 2 questions are all about, what do you talk about? And the next 2 questions, question 3 and 4, really focus on what you have earned the right to talk about. And once we've brought together some ideas to answer these questions, again, possibly in a Jamboard, we can look for that thematic overlap and name our uniqueness. Now, the third concept in this framework is something that I'd never heard of before, and I had to do some deep digging to learn about this, and it was a concept developed by Peter Sheehan. He's a keynote motivational speaker for business audiences, and he talks about an invisible wall that acts as a barrier for you or GlobalGEG to become known, to get your service or your product out to an audience who really needs it. Now, I did get a bit confused here because I've heard of the 4th wall, which is a performance convention in which the invisible wall or the imagined wall separates the actors from the audience, because the stage has 3 solid walls around it and the 4th wall is left open for the sake of the audience. Now, to break through Sheehan's wall is to become known to an audience. And Sheehan stipulates that you need to concentrate on one thing to break through that wall. For example, Amazon was known for one thing, and that was books. And Eddie Wu, our Australian mathematician teacher, he's known for one thing, and it's maths on WooTube. And I'm thinking, in translating this into our educational speak, I think this breakthrough could otherwise be known as a pivot, reinventing yourself, being a risk taker, showing true grit, or being an innovator. Now, in the light of all of this new information, I started to put together my thoughts on how we broke through the wall. Originally, we were known to each other, and we founders had like a signal or a need to support other educators who were begging for us to help them overcome their issues or their lack of confidence to set up their own GEGs. We were doing one thing and we did it well. Sheehan made a point of saying that people who take on too many roles and too many tools and engage in all the hot messages of the day, they just keep bouncing off that wall. They don't focus with clarity with one thing. And as I said, we broke through the wall. We became known for one thing, which was supporting educators to set up their own GEGs. We developed a brand. We became trusted. And so in other words, that depth plus the substance equaled the power to break through the wall. This graphic is an oversimplification of our journey, but as the demand grew, our skill set and confidence grew, and our service became more complex. With the impact of COVID-19 on teaching and learning practice in remote and hybrid environments, our audience grew. And we needed more people to work as a team to diversify the StreamYard and social media and graphic designers and video editors to meet the needs of a wider audience. But as you can see with this little graphic, the progress to keep perfecting what we're doing to provide that service, we need to keep breaking through new walls. And so what's the next wall that we need to break through to become known to a wider audience? So this next wall to break through really requires the next level of thinking, and reflect deeply and be transparent, to find our new idea, to break through the next wall, to consider how else we can continue to do our best with purpose and meaning to meet the needs of educators. And so I end where I began, with this incredibly powerful quote, that we are most powerfully positioned to serve the people we once were.